everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a weird one for you because I've got the weirdest Magic cards ever printed and ones that you very well might see in Commander in some pretty weird decks and some weird ones that you maybe should even be weirdly using. Let's jump into it. Now, I want to start things off with a card that actually kicked off this episode idea for me. I was thinking about one of my favorite cards of all time, just the concept of it and how it is so unique and so different out there. Morality Shift. This is a card that, again, is very unique. There are very few, if any, things like it. It is a sorcery for 7 mana in black. It's from way back in my childhood, and I was like, why would anyone ever use that back then? But now I'm like, oh my gosh, so many different applications for it. Exchange your graveyard and library, then shuffle your library. Very simple, very effective, very incredible. And Wizards has never reprinted it. Wizards, my goodness, first of all, reprint it. And number two, Mitch from the past, if you are listening to this somehow from time travel or something like that, pick up a lot of these because they used to be really cheap. Anyways, essentially with this card again, you are saying, you know what? I care about my graveyard so much that I want everything to be in my graveyard. I want to just set myself up properly. There are a lot of commanders out there that care about the graveyard, care about getting things into the graveyard, and all of a sudden this says, you know what? I'm going from maybe 10 or so cards in my graveyard to 80 all at once. So being able to just hypercharge your graveyard out of nowhere, this is a massive card for those decks. Obviously, there is some kind of risk to it as well because, your library is now very small. That being said, it's worth the payoff. It is an amazing card. If you've got a deck that cares about the graveyard, check it out. And Wizards, reprint it. And again, Mitch from the past, time traveling somehow, I don't know, to hear this. Pick up a bunch of these. Next up. All right, when you think of Chaos, the Chaos color is what? Red, right? Red. That's the Chaos color. I mean, I guess blue has some polymorph type effects too, which aren't necessarily really chaotic, I guess, but kind of in a way. The Great Aurora is a card that kind of breaks the mold when it comes to a Chaos card, which is for some reason in green, and a card that will get you run out of an LGS when you play it. It is a sorcery for 9 mana in green, and it says each player shuffles all cards from their hand and all permanents that they own into their library, then draws that many cards. Each player may put any number of land cards from their hand on the battlefield, and then they exile this. So essentially, with this card, you are resetting the game, which is just something that you don't do in green, ever. Ever. That's not how green works. Green is all right, the building color. Green is all right, resources, big creatures, and also massive amounts of card advantage because Summon It Wizards really cares about green far too much. Anyways, kind of lost its identity at one point, but this always seemed like an odd one, especially for a mythic. If you open this in a pack, you're like, what do I do with this at this draft? I'm not going to play it. Maybe you have at draft before. That being said, again, being able to reset things and say, all right, yeah, everyone just basically resetting everything, but we're getting lands. So you're kind of in, again, a real weird way, just going, all right, the board's gone because I'm in green, and now everyone maybe gets some lands out. And then we go from there again. It's just a very odd card in green. It's one that definitely stands out to me again. If this was in red, it wouldn't surprise me nearly as much, obviously. But being in green, it's quite strange. Things are just heating up in weirdness because Piracy is here. No, not Coastal Piracy. No, that's a card that is very familiar to many Commander players out there. But regular kinds of Piracy, which I guess isn't on the coast. Anyways, a sorcery for blue. This turn, you may tap lands you don't control to help pay for your spells. An extremely strange card. I mean, this was strange back in the day, obviously. It definitely had more of a purpose back in the day, because back in the day, right, mana burn was a thing. So, your opponents couldn't just go, all right, in response to you casting that, I tap all my lands with no consequence. Yeah, I mean, I guess I say opponents, but it's more like opponent back then, because, mana burn was, I guess for a little bit better. Anyways. Being able to essentially just respond to this and go, okay, I guess I got to decide if I'm taking damage or not, or you just get my mana. Yeah, that was actually a decision point. These days, it's not really as much of a decision point. It's still a weird card, but it's more so kind of like a silence type effect in a way, where it's okay, I play this, and essentially my opponents are basically being forced to being tapped out, or I get to utilize their lands for mana. They're not going to give me the lands for mana most likely, right? Unless there's some kind of a consequence somehow. But yeah, being able to go, okay, I tap your lands, they're mine, and they say, nope, we're just not going to have the mana. You're still kind of silencing your opponents in a way. Obviously, if they've got mana dorks, if they've got any mana rocks, they can still utilize those. It's still a very strange, very weird card, and one that you probably won't see at the tables too much because it's very situational, and it's like $35. So yeah, weird and expensive. Staying in blue, though, weird but not expensive, we got the 33-cent Fade Away. A really cool, really weird card with something in the art where it's like, what is going on here? These two characters are trying to cross the bridge, and then this like little wizard dude underneath the bridge is like, hey, illusions of things, and they're like, oh no! I don't know. Anyway, sorcery for 3 mana in blue. For each creature that creature's controller pays water, sacrifices a permanent. Again, something that like used to be in blue kind of in a way, like kind of like has been faded out in a way as well, like a taxing or sacrifice effect. Like edict effects are almost exclusively these days for the most part in black. That being said, it's like a taxing edict effect kind of. It is a very strange, very weird kind of wrath effect that can really surprise opponents out of nowhere, and actually it can be quite effective because obviously you're planning ahead for this. Either you don't have creatures, don't really care about that, or you've got creatures you actually want to sacrifice, or you've got enough mana to save the creatures you want to save. Your opponents might be tapped out. Maybe because you played Piracy. There you go. Combo. They might be tapped out and might not be able to save the things that they actually want to save. Again, just a very strange card to see in blue, though, especially, and just a very weird effect. Staying in sorceries, though, okay, the card that probably takes the cake with this is Goblin Game. And I did consider cards like Shahrazad and that kind of stuff as well, but I'm trying to stick with, obviously, Commander legal ones, so if you want to play a weird card, you can. And this is the type of card where you read it, and you're like, there's no way that's legal in Commander, and then you look it up on Scryfall, and you're like, how in the world is this legal in Commander? That's got to be wrong. And then you look it up on other sources, you're like, wait, it's actually legal in Commander? Yeah, Goblin Game is legal in Commander. A source for 7 mana in red. Each player hides at least one object. Yeah, you never thought you'd see that on a card. Then all players reveal them simultaneously. Each player loses life equal to the number of objects they revealed. The player who revealed the fewest objects then loses half their life rounded up. If 2 or more players are tied for the fewest, each player loses half their life rounded up. I mean, there's kind of like erratas to this, I guess, where it's like, hey, just like write down a number or something like that. But yeah, I mean, technically the way this is supposed to be played is everyone gets and finds objects and puts them behind their back. Just not a way that you'd ever think you'd see a card played in Magic, number 1. Number 2, a legal card. Number 3, a card that's outside of an unset. And a card that's actually legal in a format like Commander, where, yeah, some weird things are legal, but, like, this is like, hey, doesn't that kind of, like, break the rules of Magic, where it's, like, bringing things outside the game, kind of into the game, where it's like, hey, I'm hiding my phone, but I took my phone case off, so that's 2 objects, right? Okay, cool. Oh, I got this piece of paper, and I tore it up behind my back. Cool, and there you go. All right, there's my... Yeah, it's a very, very, very strange, very weird card that is quite fun just to play for fun. Do it. You've heard of Wristic Study, but have you heard of Wristic Cave? No, you haven't, because it's a weird card. It is a land that has tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool as any player pays 1. Yeah, I bet you didn't know this exists. Yeah, at one point I was like, I gotta look up all the other Wristic cards, you know, just gotta see what those are about, right? Because Wristic Study obviously is the famous one. Wristic Study is one that is absurdly broken in Commander. Was pretty much fine in other formats, right? But like in Commander, it's like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? And then all the other Wristics are like really bad. And Wristic Cave might take the cake for the worst because it literally is a land that can end up tapping for absolutely nothing. Especially in a format like Commander where it's not like you're like, okay, at least I'm going one-on-one and I'm taking away 1 resource from my opponent, so it's like even. No. This is like, all right, you're playing against 3 opponents, so they have like 3 times the amount of resources in total than you do. And you're like, I tap my land for mana. And they're like, no, you don't. You don't at all. You don't get that. You just basically wasted a land drop. Yeah, early on, maybe. Obviously, you can get, like, free, mana of any color that you need, essentially, if you get this out early enough. Sure. But even then, at a certain point, it just becomes pretty much useless when you actually need it. Your opponent's like, oh, you've got, like, 7 mana over there. That's a lot of mana. You maybe cast something pretty big, so I'm just going to stop you. And they're like, oh, well, I guess I can't play the spell I wanted to play anymore. It's a very weird card. There's, like, no other lands that really interact with this way or act like this for the most part, where it's like, your opponent can stop you from utilizing it just normally. It's a very strange card. Moving on. Now, this is a super spicy one. I mean, it is a card that has been synonymous with, like, a head scratch emoji, essentially. I mean, like, what is going on here? One with nothing. Very simple, very effective instant for a single black mana. They really could have probably actually made this free. Discard your hand. This is a card that many see as just completely worthless. Now, my buddy Alec has it in a Hogak deck where it is actually amazing. And you, comment below. If you've got this in a deck and you can utilize it in amazing ways, please let me know. It's a very cool concept for a card. It is just a card that, like, if you literally open this in a pack, and, like, let's say you're a brand new Magic player, and it's, like, your first pack you open, and you're like, all right, so I going back through my commons, my uncommons, and here's my rare. What? When would I ever use this? This is terrible. Or is it supposed to be good? No, not really. This is a card where, again, when you can actually fully utilize it in the right situation, in the right deck, it can obviously be amazing for the right one when, again, you've got like a deck that benefits you for not having a hand. You've got a deck that benefits you for being able to discard a bunch of cards at once. You've got a deck that benefits of things in the graveyard. It doesn't really care about having a hand. That's just like the main thing, or a way to get those cards back. There are ways to utilize it. There are very few ways to utilize it, but again, it's a card that is just inherently weird because it's just all downside for you typically. Now, this one's worth your attention. People who are in charge of the rules of the game right now, so they maybe can ban it in Commander, because why does this exist? Divine Intervention. Now, this is $160 worth of annoyance. There's a big salt factor on this one for a reason, because here's the thing. Let's read it first. Enchant for 8 mana in white, and it says, put 2 counters on this card. I think it's intervention counters. I don't know. They've errated it at this point. Move a counter during upkeep and remove the last counter from it. The game is over and considered a draw. Okay. So you literally spent 8 mana in multiple turns to actually make the game end in a draw. You didn't even win. You didn't win. You literally just drew the game. There are so many more easy ways to actually win the game than doing this. There's so many cheaper ways to do it. I mean, money-wise as well as mana value-wise. What in the world? This is a card that, again, if you just have the inherent agreement at the beginning of a Commander match that everyone is working to actually, win the game, except for that one player over there who's playing, like, really actual group hug, and is just, like, not really impacting the game in a way other than just making things speed up, then, okay, maybe that's, like, an edge case. But this card literally just flies in the face of everything Magic, where it's like, no, I'm playing for everything to draw. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is a card that, in my opinion, probably should just be banned in Commander, because why does this exist? But again, Wizards, why was this made in the first place? Why were you like, you know what players want to do? They want to really try to make it be a tie. And then no one's happy. Great. Wizards, what in the world? Okay, Future Sight cards. Yeah, they tried to do a lot of weird things with those, and one of them is Spellweaver Velute. This is one where if you can get it going, my goodness, the amount of value you can get out of it, it's just, again, a very strange card. First of all, I mean, reading it is just so strange for me, because, again, like, obviously I read cards on a screen for a long time, and essentially I've done it for a while, and I'm always used to, like, okay, mana value top right is looking there and then just saying it, and I have to go, yeah, left, middle-ish. All right, 5 mana in blue. There we go. Enchantment or enchant instant card in a graveyard. Again, literally, you can enchant things in graveyards. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, Animate Dead's a thing and that kind of stuff as well, but, like, those are also very weird. But they also, like, bring the thing out of the graveyard right away. Now, this one just, like, stays in the graveyard and is going to keep staying in the graveyard. Whenever you play a sorcery spell, copy the enchanted instant card. You may play the copy without paying its mana cost. If you do, remove the enchanted card from the game and attach Spellweaver Velute to another instant card in your graveyard. In a graveyard, I should say. Again, so actually, not only can you actually enchant things in your own graveyard, but you can enchant things in opponent's graveyard too, which I forgot about that. So yeah, this is a very weird card where literally you're like, okay, here's the thing. Here's what we're going to be doing. We are going to be utilizing instants out of graveyards that we can then cast when we cast sorceries. And when we do so, we get to reattach this to other things in graveyards. I think the only stranger thing would be able to, like, enchant something in exile or enchant something in your library, which would be very hairy and very messy. But yeah, enchanting something in your graveyard, especially specifically like an instant and it stays in your graveyard, is a very weird thing. Also, I'm just realizing this with, like, Future Sight, that, like, the little gaps on the left are like where they hold the mana symbols, right? And there's like 3 more. I need to look up actually at some point, like if there are any actual Future Sight cards that have all 6 of those filled out. I can't think of one, but maybe that look pretty cool. Anyways, moving on to another Future Sight card. Wow, weird, with Second Wind. Yeah, there were some weird things going on in that set. Obviously, it was kind of like a set to like really try things, to push things, to say like, hey, in the future, this is going to be happening. I guess if you look underneath, now I'm looking underneath actually the word aura in this too, and there's like more like little gaps for where like things would be held, but like that's like in an area that is like kind of like opaque. So I don't think that they'd actually put mana symbols in there. It'd be really hard to read. Anyways, outside of that, enchantment aura, enchant creature, tap, enchant creature, tap, untap, enchant creature. Now, normally this wouldn't seem weird, but with the context of this being an aura, it's incredibly weird. This being an aura, this being an enchantment in general, like typically, like for the longest time, like enchantments like never tapped, really ever. Like, I mean, artifacts could tap, creatures could tap, planeswalkers don't tap, I guess, really, but like unless they're attacking, but they don't have a tap symbol on them usually, right? But enchantments like typically never tapped, and auras definitely did not. Like, this is just a very strange thing where it's like, okay, I put this on a creature, and I can tap this to either tap the enchant creature to untap it. Like, if this was on an artifact, just like an artifact that sat on the battlefield, you probably wouldn't think anything about it. If it's on equipment, you would. But, yeah, just on an artifact, to be fine, to be understandable, or on a creature, obviously. But this one's more so like, all right, I put this on this creature, and then this can tap. It's just seeing it in aura tap on its own is very off-putting. It just is like, is that supposed to do that? Is that supposed to be happening? Okay, I guess it's happening. Second Wind. Who knew? Next up, the most strange and massive and easily take-outable creature of all time, Force of Savagery. This is an 8/0 trampling elemental for 3 mana in green. Yet another card where, again, like if back in the day, again, you were like opening up a pack during draft and you're like, this is my rare? What do I do with it? Yeah, because it's a card that, again, you just play it, it's just gone. Again, there are very few things out there, essentially, that have inherently 0 toughness. Like, literally just 0. I'm not talking about, like, you know, Star or, you know, an XX or whatever. No. Just 0 toughness on it, on a creature card, going like, oh, just like if nothing else happens, I'm just taken out. Like, again, I'm not talking about ones that, like, come and play with counters, that kind of stuff, but literally, like, I can't play this unless I have another way to essentially ensure it does not get taken out. If I have, you know, any kind of an anthem effect, sure, then I can get out. That's kind of like the thing, right? That's like you get to play around. You have to be able to get things, essentially, to keep this alive, because, yeah, it's got a lot of power for a little bit of mana, and it's got trample, but here's the thing. If you don't have an anthem for it or something like that, it's going to get taken out. It's just a very strange card. Again, one that definitely stands out, and again, Future Sight, I guess, is a haven for strange cards. They did a lot of weird things, pushed a lot of things in that set, which is really cool. Hope they do that kind of thing again at some point, but yeah. It's a cool card. It's a weird card. Try it out. If you've got a commander that gives an anthem, try it out. Why not? Be like, all right, my commander, I'm just thinking about this, you know, like, okay, my commander maybe comes out, you know, I don't know. Like, I mean, let's say there's like a 2-mana commander that can maybe like pump this somehow. I don't know. I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not thinking of one right now. But then turn 3 play this, you're like, okay, cool. Massive. Or like if you just have like an, I guess, if more so if you have like an anthems deck, that's probably more so what you would expect. Like, okay, turn 2, specific anthem. Cool, turn 3 this. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, 9 power. 9/1 though, so it can get taken out pretty easily, but it's kind of fun. Moving on. Okay, so cards that don't have a mana value, or, I mean, literally enough space for a mana value. That's like the joke with this card, right? They're like, well, the name takes up so much that it doesn't have a mana value because, yeah, it is. Okay, and please don't make fun of me for this. I mean, you can make fun of me. I'm just going to be terrible at this. I'm bad at this. Here we go. Asmaran Namar Decad Estina de Koldakar. No idea. All right, 3/3 human wizard. As long as you discard a card this turn, you may pay Rakdos cast a spell. When A enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook. Reveal up in your hand, then shuffle, sacrifice 2 food, star creature, you deal 6 damage to itself. Okay, so this is just it's a very cool card. It's a very cool commander. It's just so incredibly weird. Again, when it comes to Magic, there are certain cards that do cost nothing. There are some things that you can suspend, things like that as well. This one is different, where it's like, no, it's like, it doesn't have a cost, and the only way to actually play it is literally to discard something, and then you can pay for it, basically. And it's got a really long name, and also, it makes really bad food, apparently. And it's like, hey, have this food. It hurt you. Oh, no. yeah, I mean, like, what the card does isn't necessarily like the weirdest thing of all time. It's just literally like the fact that it has no mana value and it's just so specific in how you have to get it out. It's weird. And the name's weird. Onward we go to the Advocates, and I'll just use Pulse Mage Advocate as one to highlight. Again, another card from my childhood. A 1/3 Cleric. I think it's a human Cleric these days, but who knows? For 3 mana in white, tap, return 3 target cards in opponent's graveyard to their hand. Turn target creature card from your graveyard to play. Basically, with this, you are like, okay, hey, opponent, we're going to be best buddies because I'm giving you 3 cards. I'm regrowthing you 3 times. I'm giving you 3 cards out of your graveyard. And I can do this on repeat. I can do this, I mean, as many times as I want throughout the game. Like, it's a tap effect, so I mean, obviously it's limited to that, but if I can untap it or just on next turn or whatever, I can just keep doing that. It is a crazy effect to be able to reanimate something on a tap, but yeah, being able to, like, make a giant exchange like this, and again, yeah, white is a color that definitely can make deals, absolutely, but not necessarily is a way that's like, hey, I'm going to just mass recur things for opponents, like, back to their hands. It's a strange card. It's an interesting card. All the Advocates are kind of strange in what they do. There's not really many things like them, but it's a card that can be very effective in the right deck and for the right player who is very good at politicking. So check it out. Check out all the Advocates, and yeah, they're cool. They're fun. Make deals. Speaking of deals, no deals will be had with a card like Tempting Worm. Tempting Worm is a very weird card, and I think I did an episode on this one a while back where I think it was like the best worst card of all time in Magic, kind of. Like, there are some cool things that you can do with this one, obviously, but, like, it's just a weird card in the context of Magic. A 5/5 worm for 2 mana. It's like, my gosh, back in the day, it was like, my gosh, the largest creature of all time for 2 mana. Not really, but still, like, just absolutely huge creature, right? Step off on the right foot. Play a giant worm pretty early in the game. That being said, there's a slight downside. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may put a number of artifact, creature, enchantment, or lands cards to their hand to play. Any number. Literally, just dump whatever you want, opponents. Everything you have. Here's the exchange again. Literally, I get a 5/5 for 2 mana. That is a vanilla creature. That is nothing on it except for, this ETB, which is bad for me. Every opponent can just dump everything into play. It's like I played Hypergenesis, but just for my opponents. And I'm not getting that value out of it. So it is a very strange card, then again, that it doesn't help you at all. Really, at all. And it helps your opponents out a ton. So, yeah, obviously group hug decks can utilize it to great fashion. I'm sure there are certain decks out there, like if you've got like a theft deck, sure, then that can actually help you as well. Obviously, there's a lot of like workarounds that you need to do to actually make things work like this, but it is a strange, unique, interesting, and weird card. Pay close attention to this next one, because this is one that's like very confusing for new players. I mean, it's definitely confusing for me when I saw it for the first time. It's like, hey, why would I ever want to do that? Artifact 4/2, Sundial the Infinite, pay 1 tap, end the turn, activate only during your turn. Why do I want to end my turn? Why would I want to end my turn early? Now, what this does is it exiles all spells and abilities on the stack, discard down your maximum hand size, damage wears off, and this turn and until other artifacts end. There are some things that you can use and abuse with this. Most notably, like, hey, at the end of the turn, sacrifice this creature kind of effects. Like, all right, you make a token copy of something, goes away at the end of the turn. You're like, all right. No, that doesn't happen. Or, again, like, if something really massive is about to happen, you can say no. The thing is, obviously, it's limited to your turn, so, like, it's, again, usually more of those edge case type decks, which are like, all right, I want to actually end the turn. I want things to stop, essentially. I have, like, these effects that, if I can stop them from happening, I get all the benefits out of them, essentially. So, yeah, it's a very strange card. There's not really many things that work like it, essentially, and usually you don't want your turn just to end, but with this one, you do. And finally, another card, when you actually look at it, you're like, wait, is this card's legal in Commander? Yeah, it's legal in Commander. It's very strange. This card also from Future Sight originally, Serum Powder for 3 mana artifact that can tap 3 colors. And if that was it, it'd be one of the worst artifacts of all time. Not worst artifacts of all time, one of the worst mana rocks of all time. Like, literally, like, okay, worse than Manalith. Anyways, anytime you could mulligan and Serum Powder's in your hand, you may exile cards from your hand and draw that many cards. Here's the thing. There are, like, no other legal cards in Commander, like, at all. I think outside, like, Conspiracies, which are still, like, not really legal. Anyways, that mention mulliganing. Like, there aren't any, like, cards in Magic typically don't mention things, like, outside of the actual structure of the game. I mean, Grist is one thing where when the rules committee made, like, a really weird rule for that one, where it's like, it says it's a creature when it's outside of your hand, or outside of the battlefield, or whatever it is. Like, okay, So outside of the game, when you're building the deck, you can build as commander. Yes. What? Okay, that was a weird workaround. Anyways, that was a little offshoot for this one. But here, anyways, mentioning mulliganing is not a normal thing at all. Mentioning the whole, like, setup of, like, all right, we shuffle to start the game. All right, I draw 7 cards, and then I figure it out. If this is in your opening hand when you're not opening hand, but if it's in your hand when you're mulliganing and you could mulligan, you're like, all right, let's do it again. It's just a free extra mulligan out of your deck, which is cool, and there are certain decks that want to use that, and really cool when you can utilize that. But again, it is something that is weird, is strange, because nothing else works like it, nothing else acts like it, and nothing else literally even, mentions mulliganing or like the process of setting up the game. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.